Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our course Lexical Studies. And in our last lecture, we have discussed about the definitions and some types, almost 7 types of meaning we have discussed in our previous lecture. Today we will discuss about some more basic concepts related to semantic fields, or some basic concepts that will help us to understand this area of semantic field in a better way. So what are those features? We will discuss one by one. Semantic features, while semantic rules describe who does what in a relatively basic way. Someone affects someone else, someone benefits from an action. Semantic features represent the specific properties something needs to have to be semantically acceptable in a certain constructions. Means when we use a sentence or when we use the words, that must have some sort of understanding, and that sort of understanding and be basic of logic, some reasonable or acceptable norms that must be based on some acceptable norms. Here you can see the examples. John likes basketball. You can understand John is a person, is a male person. And what does he? He likes what he likes. He likes basketball. Understandable, logical, acceptable thing that we can understand by this example. Then see the next example. The table likes basketball. The table. There is frowning on your face. Really? Yes, I can see. Table, how a table likes basketball? This is a non-living thing. So it's not acceptable semantically, although syntactically there is no wrong in this sentence. Syntactically, it's right. The table likes basketball. The table is a subject, likes is a verb, basketball is the object. No wrong. This is the way we can say tense-wise or structure-wise or syntactically this is accurate sentence, but there is no understanding, there is no meaning. So semantic features tell us what sort of things there must be. So we will discuss in depth or in very detail. Next example, the dog ran across the field, right? The dog could run across the field. It's understandable. Next, the refrigerator ran across the field. How is it possible? Refrigerator, how can it walk? So these are the things that we will understand. There must be the subject or doer of the action must be such sort of things, like he must be, if he is or she is performing an action, there must be alive or living things that can perform actions. Next, the term animacy is used to describe whether or not something is what we conventionally call alive. So animacy means what we can understand, what conventionally in our conventions or in our society what is acceptable. Or as we have talked about, refrigerator can run through the field, across the field, or table can likes the basketball. So these are not acceptable by a particular society, by a particular member. These things are not alive. So animacy, the term animacy tell us in what way, what sort of things, what sort of subjects that we can use to make the meaning, make the statement meaningful or understandable. It is apparently a requirement for the subject X, for example, X to have the feature plus animate in order for a sentence like X ran across the field, like refrigerator ran across the field, or to be semantically well formed. Here must be he ran across the field, a boy ran across the field, a girl ran across the field, a child ran across the field. That is semantically well formed. But when we will they use the example or use the word the refrigerator ran across the field, it will be wrong. So animacy tells us what sort of things that can be acceptable or what sort of areas or concept that must be understand in this regard in the area of semantic. Humans are generally the subjects of verbs such as like, adore, hate, consider, some kind of Dog is generally the subject of the verb bark, and some form of liquid generally the direct object of the verb drink. It could be, for example, here are some other examples. You can see Diana's mother has no children. Is it possible? If she is the mother and she has no children, these are the contradiction, mismatching examples. We cannot accept that Diana's mother has no children because she has a daughter. She has a daughter whose name is Diana. So these are the mismatching things. And the empty bucket is full. How is it possible? Bucket is empty and how it could be full. So again there is a mismatching. The meeting will take place 3 years ago. 3 years ago. How was possible? It will if it we you are using the future tense. And how was their future tense 3 years ago? So this is again is a contradictions or mismatching in this statement. So semantic field or different features, semantic features tell us in what way we have to use the word. Here is the semantic analysis of some different words like table, horse, boy, man, girl, women. We'll do semantic analysis of these words. For example, table. It's not animate. It's not human. It's not female. It's not adult. Next one is horse. It's animate. Animate means alive. Yes, it's animate. Next, human. No, it's not human. Next, female. No, not female. Adult. Horse. Yes, it's adult. It's a grown-up horse. Next, there's the word boy. Animate. Yes, animate. Next, human. It's of course a boy is a human. Could be female. No. Adult. No. Boy, a child. More than a child we can understand, or 9 years or 10 years, 11, 12 before teenager we can say, before it could be a boy. Man is animate, alive. Human, yes. Female, not. Adult, yes. Adult persons. Girl, animate, yes. Human, yes. Female, yes. Adult, no, not adult, a young girl. Woman, yes, it's animate, alive, human, female, adult. So these are the semantic analysis or description of the words that we are using in semantically. Next, semantic anomaly, animacy, as we are discussing the things that are acceptable or not acceptable by the society or by the human beings by user of the language, by user of the different languages, expressions that are semantically malformed in mismatching are not just subjectively problematic or wrong in certain contexts or go against the taste of some speakers, but simply do not do work and are not used by the speaker. The example below illustrates the issue. For example, John likes basketball, the table likes basketball. As we have discussed earlier in these examples, in animacy or it's a semantic anomaly and it's a malformed, means mismatching of the word. John likes basketball, it's acceptable, it's accurate, logically, it's acceptable, it's understandable. But the next example, the table likes basketball, it's not acceptable by the society. How can a non-living thing like or dislikes or likes basketball, some other things? Here in some other example, let's see the Noam Chomsky's famous example sentence. See this example, read this example carefully, and think about this example. Colorless, green, ideas sleep furiously. If they are colorless, ideas are colorless, how could we say that these are green? Or if they are green, how can we say that these are colorless? Or ideas, how can we see that can be colorful or colorless? And the ideas, how can they sleep? So these are the mismatching in each and every word of this sentence. So this is called semantic anomaly or animacy or semantically malformed or mismatching, or that is not adjustable things we are talking about in this sense. Next, there are some semantic rules or thematic rules we will discuss here one by one. For example, reference, we use the reference, or referential meaning is one of the most basic ways of thinking about meaning. The referent of an expression is essentially the thing in the world that points to, but we can say the things or the persons to whom we are indicating, we are talking about, we are discussing about, and the things that we can understand, in a sense that these are the mainly these are the things towards we are pointing towards those things. For example, Barack Obama, what does it mean? Barack Obama, ex-president of America. Yes, the basic or main things that we are when we are using this word Barack Obama or Barack Obama, definitely means that we are talking about, we are pointing towards the ex-president of Barack Obama, who is the husband of Michelle. Next, Berlin, Alexander Platz. It was a series, it was a television mini-series in 1980s in Germany, and it was liked by the community very much, so it was very famous, although we don't know because it was not a Pakistani series, so it was a series, television series. It was understood by that community as very well. What does it mean, Berlin Alexander Platz? As we can understand the names of our dramas or movies very well, that are very famous, and for the first time when we pronounce those words for the first time, it means, definitely means, that particular movie or drama. Or Sally's cat, we know a girl, if we know a person whose name is Sally, or who is having a cat or any pet animals, so Sally's cat means the people who are our surroundings, we know to them, definitely we have some reference towards them, and definitely we will think about those things in a very basic phase, at a very in the beginning. Next, there is the referent. First we have discussed reference, or to whom we are talking about, or to the person or the things to whom we are discussing, and we are denoting, or we are giving signals that we are discussing about those particular things or persons. Next is a referent. Now we will discuss referent. Multiple expressions, different versions of the expression, or different wording of the expressions that we used for a particular reference. Multiple expressions can point to the same thing in the word, as this below demonstrates, and you can see the examples. Hillary Clinton. You can see a very beautiful picture of Hillary Rodham Clinton, or who was Hillary Clinton, or who is Hillary Clinton? The former first lady, or the wife of Bill Clinton, and she was the competitor of Donald Trump, and she was not get success, and really she was very dejected, although she's very senior, or in age wise you can say she's not a very young, but looking very attractive and charming and very active persons, or very active lady. Really, I like her very much. Now, before what next expression we can give about Hillary Rodham Clinton? First one, her name. Next one, the former first lady, or first lady of America, or the wife of Bill Clinton. And the fourth, the U.S. Secretary of State. She remained the U.S. Secretary of State also. She has she was she got the charge of that as a Secretary of State. In a former US presidential candidate, as I was discussing about, she was presidential candidate, remained, although she was not able to get success. Anyhow, these are the 5 different expressions that we can talk about Hillary Rodham Clinton. These are called all these 5 references, or we can say the expressions are called referent. Next, there is the sense. The term sense is generally used to describe the conventional semantic meaning of an expression that is separate. It goes beyond its reference. that are, we can say, we can conventional semantic meaning. Society can understand all of these common, we can say, common sense is unable to understand those particular statements or those particular utterances, but they have some sort of meaning, and then the that are beyond the surface level. Some expressions do not have a definite referent, while others cannot be described as a referential because they point to something fictional. For example, here you can see the examples of sense in semantics. Here are three examples: Santa Claus, Balbo Baggins, or my shiny new spaceships. All these things are imaginary and these are beyond the human conception. However, these are the reference of these things are being used in the society. For example, in Christian society, we can see there's no person we can find out who doesn't know the meaning or who doesn't know this figure of Santa Claus. In Christian community, the children are told that before Christmas, or one day before, or evening, Christmas evening, or in the morning of the Christmas, this figure or Santa Claus comes in our homes, and he brings some gifts for the children who are very well behaved. So they want to motivate their children, they must behave nicely, so they want to make them children happy. So this is imaginary figure according to the Christian community, or according to them, that he comes, he brings gifts for the children. Also, the children are very happy, although the gifts and the things are brought by the parents. Anyhow, this is acceptable in their society. Next is Balbo Baggins. Balbo Baggins is the title character and a hero of J.R.R. Tolkien's novel was published. It was published in 1937. The name of the novel was The Hobbit. Is one of the race of Hobbit. Is one of the race of the creatures about half the size of humans, beardless and with hairy feet. Means that the size of that humans, the character you can see half in, as we have seen the normal height 5 to 6 feet, so it means the half 3 something or 4. Or beardless, there is no beard, you can see clean shave face. Or hairy feet, there are hair on the feet, something horrible like that we can see. So this is also understand by this the community of that particular member. Maybe some of you know about this Balbo Baggins. This is the imaginary figure, it's not real figure. Next word is my shiny new spaceship. Yes, I can imagine very beautiful new shiny spaceship. Like, it's just related to imagination. I cannot make spaceship, or I cannot have spaceship because it's a matter of so much money. So maybe I can think. So these are the things about imaginations that go beyond our human imagination. Just do just can talk about these things, although in real world these things are not existed. Next, there is the agent, the doer of the actions. Mary push Steve. Who is the doer of the action? Mary. Who performs action? Mary. Mary push Steve. So it's called agent of the doer of the actions, who is performing. But in English, in syntactically, we can understand in English grammar, we can understand the subject, who is called agent of the action of the doer. Next is the patient or theme. We are not talking about the patient who feels sick or who is not feeling well, who is ill. We are talking about another patient. We are talking about the, what we say, the object. In grammatically, we can understand the object of the subject, or who is the patient or theme, the undergoer of the action, the person who will be affected by the subject. Like Barry pushed Steve, but also Steve fell down as a result of the action, and he was affected. If Mary pushed Steve, he will fell down. So in this way we can understand patient is the object of the subject, agent is the subject of the sentence. Next there is the experiencer, the entity that experiences the action. John felt happy. It's same like agent or the subject. We can understand, but this term was also being used in the field of semantics. Experiencer, the entity, the things that experience the action, or we can say the agent or the subject of the action is called experiencer. John felt happy. Who felt happy? The person whose name is John. He felt happy. So John is the experiencer of this sentence. John felt happy. Next, there is the instrument. When a sentence is being used by the speaker of some particular members or particular members of some particular communities, they use sentence and they use some instruments also, instruments type things or some tools to explain their statement, to give the explanation of their sentence. So instrument, a medium or tool used to complete the action. She opened the door with the key. She opened the door. We cannot say by hand. She opened the door, although she has used her hand, but she has used an extra thing. The door was locked, and she needs to use a tool or a instrument or apparatus that can help her to open the door. So if the door is locked, definitely, but the instrument we need a key. She opened the door with the key. The boy cut the rope with an old razor. Then he drew the picture with the crayon. There are two examples, sorry. There is no need to put and. He drew the picture with a crayon. This is an other example. So the boy cut the rope with an old razor. There was a rope and it was cut by the boy in what the instrument or tool he had used to cut the rope. He had used an old razor, a blade or razor he used to cut the rope. So old razor was an instrument. Next example, he drew the picture with a crayon. He drew the picture with color pencil. So he drew the picture with pencil color or marker color, or he used a crayon. Here the instrument is crayon. He drew the picture, he painted the picture with a crayon. Next there is the goal, the location or entity towards which something moves. She drove to Chicago. So the purpose of our actions, or in which a location is used, a place is used. She drove to Chicago, she drove to America, he drove to Australia, they drove to Pakistan. So these are some locations, or we can say some things that an action is performed in location wise or place wise. Next there is a benefactor or recipient. It seems like a objective or patient. For example, the entity that benefits from the action. Here we can say not any entity that got affected by the subject. Here we can say who got benefits, or some things like in a positive sense, benefited. Like she gave Kim the tickets. What sort of benefits? She got Sue gave Kim the tickets. Sorry, what sort of benefits uh, Kim got tickets? Who gave Kim tickets? Sue gave Kim the tickets. So Kim here is the benefactor or recipient or something like patient, we can say. But here patient means just benefits, not any other harm or not any other things like that we can relate with these examples. So think about some other examples related to all these main features or 9 main features of semantic. It's the end of our today's lecture. Goodbye. Love.